what it would look like? Please? What would a Trinitarian approach be to a visiting program in a community that not only provides a service of visiting lonely people, but actually develops community with those people in the process? So it's authentically community development. Is there somebody game to... Great, if you... Come on, run, come on, run. Come. Come. Courageous.
I think you get it right.
No, you don't have to get it right. In our community, we believe anything that's good enough to do is worth doing badly to begin with. That's right. Okay. So what you're doing is reframing those relationships. So if you go out here, for example, you visit this person and you say, look, there's a lot of lonely people in this community. I wonder whether we, right, not just we can actually do something about it. And they say, oh yeah, I know B. And I say, okay, well maybe we can link up with that person. And then you have a conversation, A and B together, and say, well, I wonder whether there's anybody else that's lonely that doesn't... Oh yeah, there's a person over here. Maybe we can go together and visit them. And they meet with them and they say, oh, God, this is terrific, you know, it's a great chance to get together. Maybe there's a few of us can get together. Do you know anybody? And this person, C, says, oh yes, I know D, and A says, yes, there's E over here, and maybe we could all come together, right? And so what is, in fact, you're actually visiting people like you would in individual development or institutional development, but in the process, you're connecting them with each other. They're communicating with each other. You're actually developing community in the process of providing a service to community. Do you understand that? Okay. What about a church camp? If you decide to take those lonely people away on a church camp, what would be a Trinitarian approach to organising a camp for people in the community who are lonely? Somebody?
They've got to have decision-making abilities as to what's going on.
That's right. So you connect with some people and say, I've got an idea about a camp. Are you interested in that or not? Because they may not be interested in it. They may be interested in a day out. Let's go out for a picnic. Not a camp, it's too much. Right? So much for the camp. Because they're actually influencing decisions making now. And then you say, oh, do you know anybody else that would be interested in a picnic? And they'll say, yeah, I've got a few friends. Well, why don't we get together and work this out together? And then you actually make that decision together and you do it together. Right? Community services are what you do for people. Community development is what you do with people. Okay? And if you want to do community development in a Trinitarian way, it means you need to do it in a way that's safe, accepting, respectful, treats everybody as special, creates processes and structures for them to participate in the decisions, and it does justice to them, the people in the group, but also to people outside of the group. Right? Now, from your own experience, what reasons do you think the church might have for opting for these two models rather than for this? What reasons can you think that the church might have for opting for individual models and institutional models rather than Trinitarian models of community development? Yes?
Control and basically to say it's ours.
That's right.
If you look at that bottom one, most of the activity is actually outside the church.
Beyond the church's control.
And the church gets to say who the insiders are and who the outsiders are.
That's right. Now, is this a familiar story? Can you see where we are again? The issue of control is the key issue. I believe the last place people get converted is around issues of power. But that is where we need to be profoundly converted. I believe we have to come back again and again to the whole notion of the Spirit, and to realise that the fruit of the Spirit include self-control. And if we're going to operate in a way that reflects true spirituality in our community, we need to develop processes and structures that enable people to develop individual and collective self-control. But the real threat to most Christian groups and organisations is that they can no longer control it. Do you know what I mean? But I believe that we are called to not only lay down our individual lives for the sake of others, but we are called to lay down our institutional lives for the sake of others. Unless the seed dies, Laurie was telling me in the break, it abides alone. We are called to lay down our lives for others. And we do that in the process of Trinitarian community development, where we genuinely create communities where people manage their own affairs. And we act as a resource for that, as a catalyst for that, as a support for that. As a network, the Waiters Union is a network like this. And we encourage all the little groups that we're associated with to organise their own affairs, to name them, manage them, and run them for themselves. So there is nothing that the Waiters Union does in our locality that bears our name. That's what's called laying down not only your individual lives, but your institutional life. Right? There's a whole lot happening, but most people don't know that we've got anything to do with it. Does that matter? No, it's not important. What matters is that we're actually developing a sense of community in our locality, where people feel accepted and respected when they can participate in decisions that impact on their lives.
Would you just be able to tell us about one of those little circles, just to help us understand what types of things you're talking about when you're saying you're putting this person in touch with this person? What's one example of something that is developed out there that's yours but not named by you?
Okay, so my wife works with refugees. So she has found a few people who want to get involved with refugees, and they've set up a little group called the West End Migrant Refugee Support Group. Doesn't bear our name right from the start. Right? They talk with each other about the kind of things they need to do. One of the things that a few of the women felt that they needed to do was find a way of generating some income. So we actually talked to them about what they would like to do. They wanted to develop a little mobile food service. That means they could cook food from home, have it delivered to groups or organisations for lunches, and so we actually helped them form their own Eritrean Women's Mobile Food Cooperative, right? And they make Eritrean food and they take it to welfare agencies that are having special lunches. They make wonderful Eritrean coffee. They make injera and curry, and they provide those foods for people. They pay them. They then generate income from that. And so what you're doing is actually equipping and enabling small groups of people to assume responsibility for their lives, meet their basic needs, and to do it in a way that we don't control. Do you know what I mean? They control it themselves. Okay? Now, we've got a little bit of time for a discussion, and what I'd like to suggest is that we think of a particular activity that we would like to do in our locality and talk about how we would do that in a Trinitarian manner. How can we do community development around a particular issue in our locality in a way that reflects the Trinity as a model for community development? Is that clear? right? So get together in small